I'm a
support the
Palestinian myself.
Why do you support
But
the genocide and all of the war crimes and collective punishment? Are you concerned?
But what I am gonna say before I start is, like, I keep warning people and saying, like, you know, VJ I find to be extremely problematic for a number of reasons, and like, if you're a Marxist Leninist or a scientific socialist, writing a book with Noam Chomsky should be the first red flag, first of all, okay? The other red flag is how close VJ is with Midwestern Marx. Writes articles for Midwestern Marx, constantly praises Midwestern Marx's work, right? And then also apparently is a psychiatrist or a psychologist. You know, this right here, like, this guy, Representative Chuck whatever, needs to find a way to calm down. He has a personality disorder. Like, what the fuck? You know, are you a psychiatrist or a psychologist? Why are you, first of all, giving an analysis like this of an individual? And why are you throwing people with personality disorders under the goddamn bus, you know? It's so fucking gross. Like, come on. You call yourself a socialist or a communist, but you can't even give, like, a material analysis again. Midwestern Marx is a fucking horrible, like... It's a horrible, like, rag that's essentially adjacent to LaRouchites. Which, if you're not familiar with LaRouchites, it's a US phenomenon that essentially was a COINTELPRO operation in order to legitimate the idea of there being, like, an unholy alliance between fascism and communism, as well as at the same time splinter groups. And LaRouchite organizations still exist and still very much do their thing today. It all starts with Lyndon LaRouche, essentially. That particular branch. It's fascism with extra steps. I mean, I would even argue, March, though, like, that it is just fascism. That fascism, a lot of times, cloaks itself in language of revolutionary politics or socialist-sounding politics, because that's the only way it sees it can gain support, right? And I think a lot of these are like it's like a brand of fascism that's essentially trying to preserve colonialism, right? Just from the perspective of many of them believing themselves to be communists or socialists. Just different from those woke communists, from those decolonial communists, you know? It's just where in the past they would say they're not Marxists, they're a different type of socialist. Now you have it take on a new character where they are Marxists, and the other people, the decolonial, the liberation seekers, they're the actual non-Marxists or whatever. So, like, my thing is, like, I would say this person here, it's not necessarily, this reaction is not the result of him having a personality disorder or something like this. It's the result of him defending a basically irrational perspective.
Even
That's your term.
Even
Can
when
you
they kill,
explain?
even when they kill 30,000 kids, that is a statistic. That's a statistic.
Yeah, Cinnamon, it's been far too long, and so many, and I just, like, I think that to a certain degree as well, like, I gotta say, like, when people were first making that, like, oh, well, they're just associating because they don't really know any better, right? It's like, to me, that always felt a little bit like infantilizing, and it's like, so you're gonna look for people, you're gonna look at these people for political analysis on global politics, and they can't even, like, recognize this reactionary, like, trend right here that's against First Nations liberation, and says some other really fucking fucked up shit constantly. I mean, my first interaction with Noam Midwestern Marx, like I say, years ago was problematic, was learning that they're anti-liberation. But it's like, how are you going to look up to them for political analysis if they're not even seeing through that much, you know? And again, at VJ, it's like there's so many problematic things. The fact that wrote the book with Noam Chomsky, like, there's some things to be concerned about. Noam Chomsky has been like an op forever, right? I swear, Noam Chomsky is one of these characters who exists in order to discredit actual working communism and like cause division and confusion, right?
Jewish state will exist.
That's not a
It will always
statistic.
exist,
That's not what we're.
and that is for
That
God
has absolutely
to do
nothing
and
to do with what
decide.
we're saying.
And I will
You are a
always support
supporter of
Israel.
genocide, sir. You're
I will
supporting
always
the
support
murder of
Israel,
little children.
and you can tell the Palestinians I will
I
never
am a
support
Palestinian
them.
myself.
Then I will tell you.
Then say
Worked
I
with
will
the
never
CIA
support you.
going
I will tell you,
linguistics,
you
yep.
want my- you want my-
And then
my
calls
Palestine.
the Soviet
Goodbye
Union
to
a monstrosity.
Palestine?
We will support Israel forever.
So
No.
you are
I will
comfortable
always
So just
support Israel.
FYI, this guy just said goodbye
Always
to
support
Palestine.
Yes.
Israel.
So you just said goodbye to Palestine. So you are
Like,
saying
see,
you're
I
comfortable
like,
with the murder of
I get
thousands
like
of
this is
children.
monstrous.
Jewish
This
people
person is a monster,
never
but
stopped
that's
again
because he's defending a monstrous system, right? Nothing to do with like, don't throw people with personality disorder under the fucking bus. That is just ableist bullshit. Guess what? There's plenty of people with personality disorders who are plenty fucking revolutionary, okay? Leave the fucking people with personality disorders alone, for fuck's sakes. Yeah. And I mean, that's always what Noam Chomsky ends up being. Like, it's like that work everybody always says about that work that he wrote. What is it? The one about the mainstream media. But what's fucked up about that is that then like go and read Parenti's media book. The anti-communism is absolutely the reason they let him exist and platform him, yeah, and let him get distribution like they do. Yes, they know what is a threat to their own power, right? They do. Okay, first let's do the comedy with Lee Camp here. The new Twitch ads are weird. Oh no. Hey, if you inventing reality is so much better than manufacturing consent. It's true. It's true. By the way, if you are enjoying my stream and you want to give Larry a birthday present, you know, it's my birthday in just a few days here. In 3 days, it's my birthday, and I might not be streaming another time before my birthday. So, if you want to give Larry some birthday presents and you enjoy my work, you should consider subscribing, dropping some gift subs or some bits. There's some fantastic gift recipient potentials here in chat, such as Kay would be a great one. And you could also contribute through PayPal if you feel like making a direct donation, which is of course the best way to go if you're able. But any kind of support, including your Prime, is very much appreciated and goes a long way. If you like my work, you should think about it, you know? Keeps old Larry going. Right, we're gonna watch right here, Lee Camp. Yeah, tip me for my birthday. It's much appreciated. I'll love you forever. Basically. Oh, and don't forget, you get awesome tiny little pictures. Hey, my fellow subscribers, could you please show off the tiny little pictures on our channel to maybe entice some people who might be watching? in order to drop some maybe subscriptions for themselves. Because we have such great little pictures. And we're going to throw on this Lee Camp, Dangerous Ideas. Kind of wanted to look at this.
Little tiny leprechaun lunatic here, Ben Shapiro.
So, on Sunday, an active duty Air Force member set himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. to protest the war in Gaza. And this, of course, has unlocked all of the worst hordes of the internet who have decided that apparently this member of the Air Force, who is a disturbed anarchist, was some sort of hero.
Ben Shapiro either legitimately doesn't understand what the word
can be
anarchist
rough,
means,
okay?
or he's just using it for propaganda purposes.
Look at those little
Either
pictures,
way,
everyone.
it's pathetic. I think, legitimately, I think you're seeing both of that in our mainstream media, just using the word anarchist as just a tar and feathering, and people don't understand what it means, and it's good for propaganda. So anarchist, and they don't even bother to define it. I'll get to more of that in a moment.
That has some really bad implications.
Oh boy. I'm excited to hear about the anarchism.
For politics and for morality and for virtue.
This guy pretending he has morality or he stands on the side of morals or ethics is amazing. It is bananas. This is a guy who has day after day for 147 days endorsed genocide, endorsed murder of children on a mass scale, a massive scale. 37,000 people are dead or missing. 30,000 are known dead. 70% of those women are women and children. So the idea that he's going to tell you about morality is just bonkers. It is like a dark Sith Lord with blood dripping out of his mouth going, I think this is a bad thing for morality. You shouldn't behave that way, you know?
The person's name was Aaron Bushnell. Aaron Bushnell was 25 years old, and he was, in fact, a disturbed anarchist. How do we know that he was an anarchist? Well, because he said so. So, first of all, this should raise some serious questions about how we actually screen for the American military.
There he is again. Anarchist, 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 right? It's so dirty. Oh, my God, he's an anarchist. Anarchist actually has a definition other than just, I like seeing shit set on fire.
Oh.
That's what people want you to believe it means. It actually does have a definition, folks. That is not the propaganda that you hear. It means basically you're against rulers. You're against people ruling over you. You're against a hierarchy where the president is at the top and the Congress and your police officers are above you in the hierarchy of the rulers of our society. You are welcome, and I encourage it, to debate whether that's how you'd like to see the society set up. There is plenty of debate to be had about that. There are plenty of books written on how anarchy is the correct way to set up a society. Anarchy is a bad way to set up a society.
The whole idea, though, to set up a society, as if like that's all you. It's and that whole idea, by the way, is something that is like a reflection of and like has in common with like bourgeois utopian science, right? Like that's exactly the way like utopian socialism was thought to be able to be accomplished. Like you would just make these model examples, and then the rest of the world, by seeing how great this example was, would simply follow suit, right? It's always a thought experiment. Yeah. Oh, yeah. St. Lotus. And I actually got into it with a certain professor because I was like, could you please not throw like mental... Like, Aaron Bushnell, first of all, is not mental illness. It was something completely rational, a completely rational decision, right? That they made, and has nothing to do with mental illness. Everyone loves getting into ableism when it comes time to like make an analysis of somebody. It's fucking wild.
But it does not mean when someone says they're an anarchist,
someone on
it does
disability,
not mean they're just out of their minds.
The wall.
It does not mean they just want to see everything on fire.
St. Lotus.
It does not mean that they don't want to see people happy and healthy and living and in a peace-filled world, in a sustainable world. There are plenty of anarchist and anarchist activities that are all about caring about human beings. And in fact, most of the anarchists that I've chatted with believe that we would get to a more peace-filled world and that people would be educated on how to have an actual community of equality. Because guess what? If you don't have hierarchy, you have equality. What? How could that?
If you don't have hierarchy, you have equality. Like, I just love the attempt at explaining anarchism. It's always interesting to me to watch somebody explain anarchism to me, and it ends up being like equality, political equality is what communists fight for, but like from a scientific socialist perspective, we realize that we need hierarchy of the lower classes in order to realize that, right? And part of our argument, of course, as well, is that like in order to ever reach that, like, it's necessary.
So they believe that we could actually get to a place if you had a different culture and a different education and a different way of preparing people for the world, where we
and there again, like, if we had a different culture and a different education and a different society and people were transformed, then yes, we could have anarchism. Okay, sure. And this is the problem that it always like comes up with for me, right? Is like okay, like that's cool and all, but the problem, where are we gotta do the education? How are you gonna do the education? I would say but like if I want to say he's like not liberal, but I think he's like anti-capitalist, like, I don't know. I like laughing at some of his jokes. But yeah, it's just, this is always the thing with anarchism. And again, like, anarchists, I don't have, it's nothing against anarchists personally or whatever, and I wish, like, settlers would not treat, like, I think a big problem in the West is settlers sort of treat politics like an identity, right? So they become anarchists because a lot of times I think your first inclination is to go anarchist for them because they still have, like, leftover ideas about anti-communism and reactionary ideas about actually existing socialism, right? Socialism in practice, revolution in practice, right? I think it starts like sort of in this, and then it ends up that because I think St. Lotus, because they're infected with individualism, they then treat it like an identity, and then it becomes like, because I'm an anarchist, I believe this, and I think you will betray me, and I think Marxism, Leninism is wrong, and these other things. And even when you can provide them with the most like rational argument, like the most like simplistic like explanation you can, and because they believe that thing, they will never, like, they'll be like, yeah, no. They'll stick to their things, right? Like for example, on the question of authority, I've explained many times to people who are very up on their anarchist philosophy, like explaining, when we have a revolution, obviously we're not going to just get to this other world that like Lee Camp just described here. We're not just simply going to get to this other world. We have to achieve that, right? We have to build that other world. So when I explain to them, that's revolution, right? Yeah, that's revolution. Okay, so revolution means that the people who are fighting for liberation, the masses who are fighting for independence, are going to have to engage in a struggle, right? Which ends up being an authoritative struggle against the current people who hold the authority of our society, right? And whenever you explain this, it ends up getting into an argument of semantics. rather than an argument about actual authority. And this is what happens every single time, right? You'll all of a sudden you'll find yourself arguing about the definition of authority. Because you can say, if you have a revolution and you do this and you do that, these onlookers and your enemies and the bourgeoisie and their agents are going to see you as engaging in authority against them, right? And they're going to call it that. And the response always ends up going something like, oh, well, but it's not authority when we are defending ourselves against the rulers, when we're defending ourselves against the authoritarians, that's not authority, that's defense. It's like, oh, well, what you've done here is you just changed the word, you're not, and like, that's fine that you accept that different definition. Cool, that's great. But other people don't, right? And like you have to remember that you're not just gonna like have all your enemies accept that definition, and you still have to keep the revolution going anyway. You know what I mean? Or they say unjust hierarchy, which again, like, okay, what does unjust hierarchy fucking mean? That makes no unjust authority. Okay, well, fine then. Me as a socialist, because I'm for democratic centralism, I am for just hierarchy only. What the fuck? What the fuck? Such a silly thing. Yeah, well, because, and that's the thing, it is like academia, Frank. It's like imagining this other society. It's like, imagine this. Imagine if everybody were different. Imagine if humanity was already transformed. Like, it's like, that's cool and all, but here we are, the world that, is fighting a life or death struggle, trying to figure out how to actually get to a type of society like that. And again, now this I'm talking about not anarchists specifically, right? I'm not talking about anarchists as individuals. And I'm especially not talking about anti-colonial anarchism or anarchists. But I am talking about anarchism as a philosophy, as an ideology. I'm thinking about anarchism. And of course, when you treat your politics as an identity, the unfortunate thing is when you critique that, for for some anarchists, that does become a personal attack, especially of the Euro variety, let's say. I love that quote. Either the anti-authoritarians don't know what they're talking about, in which case they are creating nothing but confusion, or they do know, in that case, they are betraying the movement of the proletariat. In either case, they serve the reaction. And I mean, a lot of it is reflected in the way modern anarchism looks at socialist societies, and constantly, like, decries them as not being perfect enough or whatever, right? Or as becoming betrayers of the revolution, whatever that means. Anyway, I digress.
How could that be?
It just got me thinking this talk.
They believe that we could actually get to a place if you had a different culture and a different education and a different way of preparing people for the world, where we volunteer to do
they
all
love that
of
one,
the
Frank.
jobs in society.
Which is funny because that's also like a very bourgeois, like right-wing response to that as well, right? Is there's never been a real socialism hasn't been tried. Like, that's a very much similar response to that.
All of the jobs in society, and various people do various jobs, and there's different ways of setting this up.
I love this part. Look.
Of equality, because guess what? If you don't have hierarchy, you have equality.
This part right here.
What? How could that be? So they believe that we could actually get to a place if you had a different culture and a different education and a different way of preparing people for the world, where we volunteer to do all of the jobs in society.
We volunteer to do all of the jobs in society.
And various people do various jobs, and there's different ways of setting this up. Some anarchists believe that in an anarchist community, you would have people, let's say, some sort of security. You'd have security guards or whatever.
Some anarchists say you'd have security and security guards. Like, wait. So wait, that's a justified hierarchy then, I suppose, right?
Whatever you want to call them, community police.
I think so too,
That
St.
would be on a
Lotus.
rotating basis.
I
So
wonder
one
if he
person
is
might be the
too.
security guard this week, but next week they're not. So therefore, they're not going to run around arresting the black people and harming people and treating people like shit. Because the
Of
next
course
week,
not.
they're-
A rotating security force would never be racist. Not a chance. I just love that. I love this. That is just too funny. That is too funny to me. That part. That's gold. That is fucking gold right there.
the black people and harming people basis. So one person might be the security guard this week, but next week they're not. So therefore, they're not going to run around arresting.
So because I just love this idea, because they're a security officer one week and not the other week, they wouldn't be racist. That would be impossible. Excuse me? I don't know.
The black people and harming people and treating people like shit, because the next week they're not in that position any longer. But another thing has to do with like anarchist activities like mutual aid, which I have volunteered with mutual aid.
But see, now I hate this. And this is where I don't know if he is. This is where I don't know if he is just being charitable, St. Lotus, right? Where he says mutual aid is like inherently anarchist. But it's not. Like lots of groups do mutual aid. Like, you know, it's a tool of socialist parties as well and socialist organizations. Like it's just a weird thing to say to me, like,
which I have volunteered with mutual aid. Mutual aid across this country did so much good during the pandemic, but still now, where people needed groceries, they needed help, they needed medicine, people had no money and didn't know where to go. And you had mutual aid groups across the country, and again, they're still going now, that helped a lot of people. We're talking thousands and thousands of people were helped by mutual aid groups. Those groups are based on an anarchist principle without a.
See? He just said all of the you see the way the way that was put, I find is extremely like problematic way of putting it, saying like all of the mutual aid groups are all based on an anarchist principle. Huh? No. It's based on a collectivist principle that predates fucking anarchism at the end of the day, if we want to get like real about it, but it's not exclusive to anarchism, and I would highly doubt even originates from it. But anyway.
Hierarchy. Now, does that mean that everyone there's a lunatic and they just want to murder people? No, what this lunatic here, Ben Shapiro, wants you to believe is that anybody who identifies as an anarchist or has been in an anarchist meeting or has read an anarchist book is a absolute disturbed radical lunatic who wants to shoot everyone. Ben Shapiro is so reliant on that propaganda having already settled into your brain that he doesn't even really bother to define it.
And this is what I don't like about that whole like idea, like you're a lunatic. No, he's a lunatic. No, I'm a lunatic. No, they're a lunatic. It's like, Jesus, can we please like get a different like thing?
Because he just says
and yeah, mutual aid is done out of necessity. That's the thing. Like calling it's actually like, I would say if you want to like get into it, it's like actually like mutual aid is no different. Like that's. Communists do mutual aid as well. Socialist parties do mutual aid as well. It's necessary if you're building up dual power.
He was an anarchist. And as long as you say it in that tone, he was an anarchist. His average viewer and most people, I guess, around the world go, oh my God, he was an anarchist. And so he's relying on you. Either he's relying on you being an idiot or he's an idiot. Now, it is tough to tell with someone like him.
Yeah, I don't
Is
think
he
most
just treating
people
you
are
an
like
idiot,
that
or is he an
anymore.
idiot?
I don't think
always
they
know.
are.
It's again, yeah, you guys can rehash that, hash that out in the comment thread.
I mean, let's
Is he
think
a moron?
about too how many people in the U.S. when you say anarchists, and look, I realize that this is a special brand of reactionary anarchism, but like a lot of people in the U.S. when you think of anarchists, they think of like anarchists, but you're pro-capitalist still.
Moron, or is he a smart guy who just thinks all of you are morons?
And the simple fact of the matter is that the standards for the American military have been dropping pretty radically. This guy was an IT specialist, and he'd been in the military for several years. And he was, in fact, an active anarchist. Now, you know that the military has been targeting so-called
It's
white
a factor
supremacy
of
in the military.
evolution,
If you're a
according to
conservative in the
Kropotkin,
military and you're open about it, that may call into
I
question.
take some issue with Kropotkin's analysis of that. Mostly because I come from a Juche viewpoint that it's not, that it's not something that's solely because of evolution. It's because we live in a society because we're a social being. But I mean, the necessity to survive, like, obviously has meant sharing for like ever, which is essentially mutual aid is like when you're not getting enough from other places, share with others. What it essentially boils down to.
Your loyalty to the U.S. military.
Did you catch that? He equates white supremacists with being conservative, meaning he thinks white supremacy is like fine because he views himself as a conservative, I think. So he's basically saying like white supremacy isn't a thing or it's okay. What he's saying is truly horrifying. He's like, they don't like white supremacists in the military. He uses scare quotes around white supremacists like there aren't white.
But totally, Frank. And I mean, hey, a lot of Marxist work is meant to fight against idealism, right? But ends up as a result having limitations because of that.
Supremacists in the military. There have been extensive articles on the number of U.S. military personnel. Now, they don't know the exact number, but who are obviously white supremacists, have neck tattoos of swastikas and shit. There's been efforts by the military to get the most obvious white supremacists out of the military, but, and I stress most obvious, there's not been an effort to get just subtle white supremacists out of the military. But clearly that has upset Ben Shapiro because he's like, hey, I'm a white supremacist. Why are you not letting my people into the military? I mean, he literally is like annoyed that they're stopping white supremacists from being in the U.S. military.
Apparently, you can be a radical anarchist publicly, and that has no implications whatsoever for your military service.
He's adding words, by the way. Now it's a radical anarchist. Now,
I just mean
in
explaining humanity as a result, it ends up having certain limitations as to actually being able to explain humanity, right? Problem is when not many people want to join the military, the pool of people is not that big. Yep.
He was an anarchist. He also was very involved in mutual aid. Why are we adding the term radical? Being involved in mutual aid? They gave groceries to people. That radical maniac.
Apparently, you can also be a disturbed person because it turns out you have to be kind of disturbed to set yourself literally on fire.
Now,
disturbed.
This gets into the meaning of disturbed. Yeah, I'd say that Aaron Bushnell probably had issues to want to leave this world, but is it any more disturbed than all of those in the military who are fine with genocide? And Ben Shapiro, who's fine with genocide?
I mean,
who actually
what do you mean disturbed?
On widely
he was disturbed by what he saw going on in Palestine. That's what the fucking word means.
Programs like his own,
hey, lesbian hot
tells
sauce.
everyone to celebrate and be fine with this genocide and endorse this genocide by Israel. Like, to me, that's disturbed. Very disturbed.
Yeah.
Aggressively
exactly.
disturbed.
Participating in genocide is bound to disturb some people.
To celebrate bombs landing on children and hospitals.
Hey, lesbian hot sauce. I'm actually more like, I have more of a problem of like him saying that the people in the military who are okay with the genocide are disturbed. Because now you're using disturbed to just mean some sort of, well, you know, we talked about this already. Some sort of like ableist, like dog whistle, basically. Like, oh, they're disturbed. Like, no, they're not disturbed. They're fucking still, they're captured by the irrational system still. They believe in the reactionary ideologies. Oh, absolutely, matron. And that's the thing. I'm not discounting that. Like, to be clear, I'm not discounting that. What all I'm pointing out is that, like, as a result of it being that critique, just like Marxism itself, by the way, it ends up having certain historical limitations in its like value of analyzing the entire situation, right? I'm not saying that what he's saying is wrong or anything like that. I'm just saying that it has a certain limited value as an analytical tool. And I mean the same with Marxism. I talk about all the time with historical materialism, because Marxism, which we know is based on a science, and dialectical materialism is absolutely a scientific method, but historical materialism itself has certain historical limitations because it is based on proving what Marx's originally set out to prove or discredit, which was, of course, vulgar materialism and idealism, and prove that the primacy of material, which ends up serving as like the basis of what their analysis of social history was, which provided a great benefit to her ability to analyze social history. And I never deny that, like about historical materialism. What I do say, though, is that it's not necessarily a complete analysis of social history, and that we can have a more complete analysis by premising ourselves on dialectical materialism, but taking a humanity-centered approach to it, the analysis of what develops the social forces, etc. Apparently, the Biden administration is going to build a port to ship aid directly to Gaza. Bit meaningless when you're giving them bombs to rain on their heads. Oh yeah, it's fucking pathetic. And I see people online who are like, oh, Palestinians they're throwing the food away because they're saying it's expired and shit like this. And then you have all these experts who are like, military MREs don't expire. See, here's my expert opinion. It's like they're throwing it away because they understand they're fucking being bribed by the fucking same power that is literally raining death on them. Fuck you and your analysis.
Radical disturbed. This man, Ben Shapiro, is radical disturbed. But of course, he's just calling Aaron Bushnell disturbed. That's the only one who's disturbed, right?
And when he says in his suicide note, in his final note, that he was quote unquote complicit in genocide, the question would be exactly how, considering the United States Air Force is not even involved in the war in the Gaza Strip.
His first point
like
is that Ben Shapiro's point is that how could Aaron Bushnell be complicit in genocide when the U.S. Air Force isn't in the Gaza Strip? There's been plenty of coverage of how the U.S. and the U.S. military is involved in this genocide. Now, just because Aaron was in the Air Force, a arm of
exactly,
the U.S.
Frank, and this is what I'm saying about this type of like ableist like language, even by these progressives. Like some progressives, like a lot of progressives, they like have a problem with ableism still. And as somebody on disability, it fucking sometimes is a little bit annoying, I will say. That's why I pointed out the thing with VJ. And again, with this, like the best response that you have to Ben Shapiro calling somebody disturbed is to call them disturbed back.
Military.
Come on.
And that arm might not currently be in Gaza. That doesn't mean he's not feeling complicit with it. The U.S. military is complicit with it. You have the New York Times reporting on 1,000 troops, I think, have already been sent to Israel. You have the Intercept coverage of the Pentagon memo telling U.S. soldiers in Iraq to be ready to help out in the case of an invasion of Gaza. You also have the New York Times saying that the CIA is in Israel helping Israel assassinate Palestinians. You have the drones that the military is piloting over Gaza. and giving that intelligence to Israel to facilitate their genocide. The U.S. military, and then, of course, there's all the weapons contractors and weapons we're sending over there. So the U.S. military is like this when it comes to this genocide. They are linked hand in hand. This is a U.S.-backed genocide. So for Aaron Bushnell to say he doesn't want to be complicit in this genocide because he is in the U.S. military and the U.S. military is clearly helping with this
Absolutely,
genocide
Sam.
is 100% a rational thought. I'm not celebrating the tactic. I'm celebrating what he at least said he stood for. Now, again, I don't think people should kill themselves, but it is a rational thought to say, I don't want to be complicit in this. I'm in the U.S. military.
There,
That
fuck,
is
he actually said it.
US-backed genocide.
I mean, he said that
Totally
part, right?
rational.
Not only that, there is not a genocide in the Gaza Strip.
Did you catch that? There's no genocide in Gaza Strip. I bet you guys didn't know that. Yeah.
It's a rational thought.
Not
but,
at all.
But I mean, to say that, I do think it's still correct. Like, it would be still correct phrasing to say he was disturbed by what he saw, the genocide he was complicit in.
He goes on to act like it's a normal war. It's a normal military occupation. Just to remind everyone, the average percentage.
I mean, that tracks, Sam. I call out other streamers all the time, so apparently if you're like me and you're critical of things that are anti-communist or reactionary, you're a leaping Larry liberal. So there you go. Yeah, it is human to be disturbed by genocide.
Of children killed in modern warfare is
Pipper.
like 4 to 8%. The percentage
Welcome in,
that
Pipper
Israel
Papper.
is killing
Shout out to Pipper.
is 43 or 45%. Israel is killing way more children. And the reason for that is because Israel is not fighting a battle. They are just erasing human beings. This is, even according to former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Olmert, even according to him, this is ethnic cleansing. Okay? So Ben Shapiro is far, far right of the former Prime Minister
They're in
of
complete
Israel,
denial.
who said this is ethnic cleansing and that Israel wants all-out
Okay.
war, regional war.
I know that it has become commonplace for morons in the media to suggest they targeted.
Pipper plays some role-playing Grand Theft Auto that I highly recommend people tune in to check out. If you like watching me game when we're done politics, you'll definitely like watching Pipper play some characters on Grand Theft Auto.
Operation by these
Targeted. How is this a targeted operation? They're bombing hospitals. They're bombing people in line at aid trucks. If this is targeted, then actually, if this is targeted, then you actually just said this is genocide, meaning they're not accidentally killing all these innocent people. They're targeting them. So, all right, then I guess you're admitting this is genocide.
Israelis in the Gaza Strip that has killed, according to the Israelis, upward of 10,000 members of Hamas.
Yeah, 10,000 members of Hamas, considering 70% of those killed are women and children. So you know they're not in Hamas, Hamas militant, because Hamas again is the government. So you can be a part of Hamas and not have nothing to do with Hamas militants. If 70% are women and children, which we know, then that means there's only 30% of the 37,000
right,
that are missing or dead. There's only 30% that could even possibly conceivably be Hamas militants. But that would mean that every man above age, 18, that Israel has killed has been a Hamas militant. Does anyone believe that? Is there anyone who believes that? You can see the videos. These are not militants. Israel is just murdering everyone.
Or hiding among civilians.
Oh, God, that human shield garbage again. Is there any more debunked talking point in the world than the human shield garbage?
But that is somehow an example of a genocide?
It's actually the dictionary definition of a genocide. In case you were wondering, Benny boy, here it is from the Holocaust Memorial website. In case you wanted to know what exactly you're claiming is not going on here. Ratified as Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, 1948. The convention defines genocide as any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy in whole or in part. Keywords, in part. You don't have to kill every person for it to be genocide. Okay, that's why the Holocaust was genocide, even though, such as me and you, Ben, there are Jews still around. Doesn't mean it wasn't genocide. So, in whole or in part, a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group as such. Okay, so any of the following acts. Here they are, killing members of the group. Do you think Israel's done that? Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. Do you think Israel's done that? Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. Literally, Israel has cut off the water and the food. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. That's one of the reasons Israel's been bombing the hospitals and killing all the doctors. Forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. Israel has at least 10,000 hostages, many of them children, in Israeli prison. A number of specific actions have been deemed punishable under the convention. These are genocide, conspiracy to commit genocide, which many Israeli officials have actually accidentally revealed genocidal talking points, such as Gaza should be erased, such as Netanyahu holding up a map of the Middle East before October 7th that had Palestine, had West Bank and Gaza erased, etc. Direct and public incitement to commit genocide, attempt to commit genocide, complicity in genocide. There's your definition, Ben Shapiro. And man, Israel fits every last aspect of that definition of genocide.
An example of a genocide, but I can assure you that is definitionally wrong.
Definitionally, is
It
it?
has complete air superiority for the 1,000th time in the Gaza Strip. If Israel wished to kill
And
hundreds of
lesbian
thousands
hot
of people,
sauce, to be clear, I think that is why you have this digging up of the lies against the resistance fighters regarding sexual crimes as a deflection.
Israel certainly has the air power to do so.
This is another one of these completely idiotic talking points trying to defend this genocide. If Israel wanted to kill more people, they could. That doesn't mean they're not committing genocide. There's nothing in the genocide definition that says you have to kill as many as you can, and as many as you are capable of. Israel has nuclear bombs. Yes, they could fire a nuclear bomb at Gaza. That doesn't mean that not firing a nuclear bomb is not genocide. It is one of the dumbest talking points I've ever heard. It's so dumb to say, well, they haven't quite killed as many as they could, so it's not genocide. No, that is nowhere in the definition of genocide. Phenomenally dumb talking points. I mean, of course they're dumb, because when you're trying to defend genocide,
God damn, take a
idiot.
shot every time he says that word.
You can't, there's nothing that could sound intelligent coming out of his stupid face holes. So you end up with this garbage. Anyway, wanted to bring that segment to you. That's about all I can handle. Hope that's all right.
Well, there we go. Lee Camp today. Not that much of a fan of that Lee Camp video, I gotta say. Yeah, exactly, Frank.